Hey, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a loyal viewer who understands that being subscribed to this channel and hitting that notification bell means that you'll never get that little blind pimple in your ear that you can't quite get at. And it really hurts, but only if you touch it, but you can't stop touching it. That won't happen to you. And if any one of you writes, I'm dead after that little pimple joke, it could be called assist and deceased. Kerry here, nosy housefrau. Today I am sticking my nose in on the hottest topic in YouTube. It is a drama that came up in the last couple of days regarding a certain person who shall remain nameless. Until I say his name, it's Stephen Mango. What the hell is this, lèse-majesté? I can't say anything bad about the king. I'll get thrown in jail. Does he think YouTube has mango stay? Well, we're going to talk about this lawsuit that is supposedly, allegedly in effect by Stephen Mango. Links below to his video because unlike him, I'm not a weasel who doesn't give credit to people just because I don't like them. I'm going to link his content on his video. It is exactly what he wants, but it's also exactly what my viewers want for me to address this topic, and so I'm going to. So I've got my Illuminati and I'm ready. I've deliberated. I'm ready to talk about the mango tea situation. So many of you DM'd me on Twitter and asked me to talk about this, and I'm very flattered that you came to me and said, Kerry, we want to know what you think. It was throngs of people, like at least two. And I was like, oh, the public has spoken, and I'm going to give my viewers what they want. If you're not familiar with this alleged lawsuit, Mango Tea claims he's suing various YouTubers, implied it's plural. We do know one of them is Beauty Truth Sleuth. Her icon, I believe, was right even in the a thumbnail or a Twitter thumbnail or something. I'm not sure if it's on the video, but the link will be below. And you can watch his video and it'll give you some context for what's going on. Be prepared, trigger warning, it's going to irritate you if you do not like him, which chances are at this point, if you're watching this, you probably don't. and dare I suggest that that might have nothing to do with this video and the fact that you already don't like him because of him, because actually I really think he thinks if people don't like him and have unsubscribed to him, it's because of these other videos. At least that's the implication in his video. His video starts out with what I consider a great big lie. He says he's disabled comments because he doesn't want to send hate to any of these people. These people he's not going to name. He doesn't want them to get hate. So that's why he's disabling comments. He even puts below in his description box to please not send hate these people away. Please don't send hate these people away, but I will send the law after them. But I don't want them to get any hate. Now, I will tell you my opinion about this lawsuit in a bit, but first I want to talk about the lawsuit itself. Mango Tea claims that this lawsuit exists because he feels that he has been bullied, that people have gone too far, and they're hurting his business. And then he says something I've never heard out of his mouth before. He says he is the owner, proprietor, CEO, founder of, and those are my words, by the way, Lily Bow Productions. And I wasn't sure what he was saying because I was watching it at work and the subtitles were coming up and it was weird. Lily Bow Productions is evidently his production company. So I'm assuming he had his husband help him go incorporated. Something anybody can do if they want to start a business, by the way. And this small business, very small by most measures, I assume has to file quarterly and is an actual legitimate business. However, he's claiming that people have hurt his business. And I can't think of anything that could hurt your business more than not promoting it. At no time does Lily Bow Productions come up on the screen. At no time is Lily Bow Productions in the description. In fact, I couldn't find Lily Bow Productions on Google. And I tried various spellings. I tried looking it up on YouTube. I tried looking, there's a link to his blog that is a bad page. There's no blog. And I went on another computer to make sure it wasn't just this one and the plugins. And I couldn't find hide nor hair of this. So what could hurt a business more than potential clients not being able to find it? And I went to look at a few of his videos. I admit not all of them. He's got 5 channels. And I went to see if there was a logo or not, and I couldn't even find a logo. I can't tell you what Lily Bow Productions is. I can't tell you how it's spelled. I'm pretty sure it's a gang of one. And so this production company is essentially really hard to find. for somebody who claims he doesn't want it hurt. Now, I think you could say, well, the vlogs themselves are important, not necessarily the business name. But I would suggest a logo and something to promote your actual business. Get the name of your company out there. If I had a company name, you wouldn't just hear me saying it, you'd see it up on the screen, and that's just good business. In his video, Steven says that he was beaten and pushed into lockers. And that's the kind of thing that really garners sympathy from me. My heart hurts just hearing things like that. However, it's really hard to feel sorry for him when I see him turning around and instead of taking the things that happened to him and saying, I'm going to cultivate a better life for myself, I'm going to create a safe place where things are more positive, where I can, be kinder to other people. Instead, he's so focused on the things that have happened to him and in his victimhood, and he was victimized. But for some reason, he doesn't ever tell himself two wrongs don't make a right. It never stops him from going for the jugular with other people. He says in his video that people are going too far when they mess with his livelihood. But I saw him tweet things this week that absolutely, definitely were intended to hurt and defame the person they were directed at. And you can find a lot of this on Twitter, by the way. Twitter's the place to be these days. So here he's saying all these horrible things happened to him. Why doesn't he have more empathy for people? Why hasn't that made him a better person who doesn't want to see other people in any kind of pain? Instead, if he feels people have wronged him, he feels everybody else is a bully, he's going to go for their jugular. I'll show you, and I'm going to be more immature. And I don't know his age, and it's not on his IMDb. Nobody seems to know actually what age he is. He's got some really old headshots, and his last IMDb credit was from 8 years ago. And he's calling people has-beens, people who've had far more success than he has. So he doesn't think, like, as an actor, isn't that the worst thing somebody can say to you? What's the worst thing somebody can say to me? Okay, I'm going to go say it to other people, and I'm not going to care how that makes me look. I don't care. Stephen Mango, and by the way, he'll find this video, even if his name isn't in the title and I don't tag him, somehow he'll find it. And he will, probably have a sock account, make ad hom attacks. He doesn't really seem to have this filter in his brain that says, I shouldn't say these things about other people. Like somebody said to him, he's reading what somebody wrote, that former addicts are liars, drug addicts are liars. And he says, I agree. So now you've just made a blanket statement about people in recovery. So Peter Mon's a liar? Your friends are liars. People in recovery, by virtue of the fact that they had an addiction, and even though they're strong enough to come out and say that they have dealt with this and are recovering from this, which takes a kind of raw honesty most people probably don't have, and a strength people would have trouble mustering. People who do this are just liars to you because of the stigma of drug addiction, the exact thing people fear when they admit this to people, because that's how they have to live a clean life. To be clean and sober, you have to live an honest life. So you're calling people in recovery liars. You do not think before you speak. And it doesn't matter what anybody said to you, you have no argument when you're being just as bad. And these are all things that are going to come out in court. Of course, people are going to pile up these things now that you're saying you have legal cause. Now, that's assuming it would go to court. That's in that scenario. And from what I understand, it's not anywhere near that point yet. But let's talk about defamation and slander lawsuits. People often ask, can you sue for slander? And what they mean is, can you sue and win? Because we all should have the memo by now that you can sue anybody for anything. So yes, he can sue somebody for slander. Can he sue and win? Well, in the United States, because it's different everywhere, it is particularly difficult. And this, I only know, I should say I'm not a lawyer. I have a lawyer in the family that I consult regularly, and I shamelessly get free advice from. But in this case, I've just done a lot of reading because this has come up for years on YouTube. This is not the first time somebody said they were suing over slander. Now, in the United States, it's particularly difficult because you have to prove not just that this person lied about you, but that the falsehood was deliberate and did hurt your business. So that's it's a very expensive, lengthy process that most people consider not worth it. And Mango's husband is a lawyer. So a lot of people are saying, why didn't he tell him this? Well, you don't know that he didn't. He might have told him this. But this lawsuit begins with a subpoena to YouTube to get this person's information. And to me, because he is married to a lawyer who probably told him all about this, it doesn't matter that he's in real estate. He had to pass the bar, and this is very fundamental, basic lawyer knowledge. So his husband knows what he's up against filing this case. I think Mango thinks he knows a lot about it because he himself was at the receiving end of litigation being threatened against him by his former employer. This lawsuit from Mango begins with a subpoena to YouTube for that person's information, and that is the end goal, in my opinion. He's accomplishing two things. He is creating drama for the channel that he had, I believe, his husband help him get incorporated, his business. So if you incorporate a business, you really want to get some air under that kite, and drama is the way to do it on a drama channel where you claim to expose YouTubers. And he wants to dox this person. This is the little boy saying, I want my way, and pounding his fists into the ground. His goal is to dox this person, even though in his video he says, don't send any hate these people way, these peoples. What a problem with the plural of that. But anyway, took a little intermission and had some soup. I needed sustenance. I was starting to stutter and stammer and but it feels so much better. Okay. Now just to remember where I was. Okay. In Mango's video, this is so slow paced, I might as well have done a live stream, but maybe I will later. In Mango's video, he says that when he sees comments under people's channels, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, we want to be careful and put in these disclaimers that say, in my opinion, and allegedly, and actually in this case, I'm paraphrasing. He says, when he sees under a video, I used to be subbed to Mango and now I'm not, he holds that video responsible. That's his proof. He uses the word proof after that. And that is the proof to him that these people are hurting his business. Well, the problem with that is the person isn't even saying, until I saw this video, I was subbed to him, and now because of what you said, I am unsubbed. No. And even that is a subjective thing. But the fact is, there's nothing to indicate that that video was the catalyst for them unsubscribing to him. He never thinks it ever possibly could be his behavior. But in fact, it could be that they already were unsubbed to him because of something he said or did, or they for whatever reason they just didn't like him anymore. And because of that, they went searching for his detractors so they could commiserate and enjoy the tea being spilled on him. So if that is his proof, that's about as flimsy as it comes. And you don't even know that that person being subscribed to him was giving him any views prior to that. So you don't even know that they were responsible for his YouTube checks, which I can't imagine are very high. Social Blade is always at the higher end with what they speculate. And even their high end for him is paltry. So that's just weird to me. I want to tell you guys, I don't want to forget to tell you this. When I was looking for Lily Bo, again, saying it a lot more than he is, Lily Bo Productions was nowhere to be found. And that's when I found one of his 5 channels that I didn't know existed. And it had very few views on this video. It was him and his mother. And he's doing this, moms say the darndest things. My mom, everyone, right? He's trying to do one of those. I'm all for mother-son dynamics, but this whole thing looked so scripted in a way and contrived and coached. We'll say she seemed coached. But anyway, it was him talking to his mother about her Tinder date. Now, it's not bad enough his mom was on Tinder, but the fact is, he told her to go on Tinder. He told his mom to use Tinder. And forgive me, there was another edit. The guys got hungry after the Cavs won. They worked up an appetite, and I lost track of time, so I did have to cook if anybody's interested. Dinner was baked salmon with a Mediterranean rub and a side of rice with dill and peas. No peas for Zach, just Pat. And none of it was for me because I don't like seafood, most of it. Which is probably sacrilegious. Where I grew up on Long Island, if it moved through the sludge, my parents cooked it up and ate it. But I'm just case-by-case basis. I love a shrimp cocktail. and some scallops. Why not scallops? Anyway, moving on. Now, to a lot of people, Tinder is probably a regular dating site. I've always been of the thought that it was a hookup site where, out of all the dating sites you would tell your parent to go to, you wouldn't say go to Craigslist to meet someone, which now I don't even think you can, but you definitely wouldn't say Tinder. I think if it's someone you love of a certain age, you would probably suggest Match.com or something like that, and you would suggest being careful. Meet in a public place. In this case, Stephen's mom met him at his house and said, well, I saw the house and I saw there was a guest house. And I said, oh, this could work out. He's a man of means. And that just sounded so familiar, didn't it? So uh, she goes to dinner with him. She has a wonderful time. She thinks he's normal. Nobody knows what normal is. And she thinks he's normal. But then when they go back to his house in their separate cars, he says to her, would you like to see my guest house, casita, and my red room? And it's not occurring to her that there could be something else. And then she's like, oh, he, he wanted something else. And to me, I kind of was cringing when she kept just saying like she thought he was normal, but then he was into BDSM. And she didn't say BDSM, but I'm assuming that's where it was going. And her son, Steven, says, well, when we saw Shades of Grey, that's kind of what that room was. I was like, when we saw Shades of Grey, yes, they saw it together. Now, he does say he didn't know what it was about. How? Whatever. At one point in the middle of all of this hilarity that's ensuing over this big Tinder misunderstanding, Mango tells her, well, my mom doesn't understand that a lot of people on Tinder are like that. He said something to that effect. And I was thinking, so you knew that when you told your mother to go on that site? If you want to see the rest of that story, that link will be below. I only watched up until a certain point. And I will say two things about Tinder. One, I have never used it. I've been married for 22 years, but I'm definitely not slut shaming. If they had an app like that when I was 21 where you could order up sex like a pizza and you didn't have to deal with all the blabbity blab and get right to the good parts of life, then I probably would have been all about that and lucky to not get a disease. So believe me, I'm not slut shaming. Also, I really cringed inside when they kept referring to a BDSM lifestyle as if it was something abnormal. I thought he was normal, and then he asked me to go to his playroom type of thing. And although I've never partaken in that kind of a relationship, I don't think it's appropriate and certainly not nice to associate that stigma with it and to act like there's something abnormal about people who have very normal relationships where they act out their fantasies without hurting anyone. So that's a little uptight and immature. Well, the sun is setting and my lunadizophobia will be kicking in, my fear of Mondays. And but before I go, I want to mention one other thing on this mango situation. I wanted to make another point, and I'll probably make more if I think about them because it's been an exhausting day. But there is a channel called Karin Michelle. There is a channel, and I wanted to point out that Stephen Mango went on her video about him and left this comment saying that it looks like somebody needs to get to 1,000 subs by using his name. It's always about jealousy and people using his name. That is perhaps one of the most hypocritical comments he's ever made. How do we know who Stephen Mango is? I wonder how. How did his name become part of the drama community? Was he just so engaging that he didn't have to resort to these horrible underhanded tactics he accuses other people of using his name and riding on those very long coattails? How indeed. Well, I guess he just has a lot to teach us about integrity, doesn't he? He definitely does, because if you look at Stephen Mango with fresh eyes and a straight moral compass, you should be able to see exactly who you don't want to become.